Hi, welcome to the sixth part of this tutorial series. In the last part we programmed how to take objects from our heads-up display and place them in the world. However, right now it's not really a game, it's more or less a map maker. We can draw things onto this kind of world canvas, but we have no way of interacting with them, so it's just pretty much looking at a static image. In this part, what we'll be doing is being able to interact with objects that we've placed into the world and kind of visualizing them, and maybe from that point can program further actions, but yeah, that'll be the main focus of this part. Now going into our code, the first thing we're going to do is to be able to highlight any of the objects that might be in our world. So going over to game, and going to our world script, and we're going to be working in the update method. So we want to be able to interact with objects only if we haven't selected an object from the HUD. So actually we want the kind of the inverse of this. So basically when the player is just kind of scrolling over, going through the world with their mouse and just wanting to click on things rather than place an object or building. So we're going to drop into an else statement here, and we'll need to use some of the same code that's in this section. So one of the things we'll still need is to calculate the grid position. We also want to make sure that we're in the confines of the world, so we're going to take this if can place tile method. The next thing we need to extract is whether the tile contains an object or not. And what we used previously and what we can use now is this collision statement, because if the tile has this collision element equal to true, it means that there has been something placed there, whether it's a tree or a building, but that's our logic for knowing whether the tile contains an object. So now we want to say if we click with our mouse, so if mouse action, and that's left click, is 0, and there is a collision, so that there is an object, then we want to save the grid position of this click. So I'm going to say, and we're going to call this the examine tile. So self.examine tile equals the grid position. And I'll just initialize this up here as self.examine tile equals none. Okay, now that we have a means of selecting the grid position of the object that we want to click on, we want to have a way of visualizing this. So going to the draw method, what we want to do is for the object that we've clicked on, we want to draw on top of the object the outline in, let's say, white, just to say, just to communicate to the player that this is the object that has been selected. So we want to be working within this nested for loop to preserve the correct render ordering, and we also want to make sure that there is an actual tile to kind of draw the outline over. So we also want to be working within this if statement. So what I'm going to do here, and we're going to do this outline after we've rendered the image. I'm going to first say if self.examine tile is not none. So have we clicked on a tile, and then as we iterate through these grid positions, are the current x and y positions equal to the grid position that we clicked on? So I'm going to say if x equals self.examine tile x element, and is the y equal to the y position of the examine tile. If this is true, what we're going to do is extract the outline of the image being rendered there. So I'm going to say mask equals pg.mask.from surface. So extracting the mask from an image. This is the image that we want to extract the mask from. and we only want to keep the outline of this mask. The thing is with masks in pygame is they do have the correct shape, but they normally they don't preserve the location of the image. So we need to incorporate these render positions so that the mask will be drawn on top of the image. So we're going to start iterating through the X and Y positions of the mask to make sure that it's on top of the image. Firstly, for the X, what we need to do is just place it where the X position of the image is, and we can grab that here. And then we do the same thing for the Y. So we're going to apply the Y render position here, and that's for X, Y in mask. Now that we should have a mask extracted and it should have the correct locations, we can draw it into our game by using pygame.draw.polygon. Going to be drawing it to the screen. Going to make this a white outline, drawing the mask object, and going to give this a width of 3 pixels to make it very visible. So we can test this out by going to main, running the game. And we should be able to click on these objects, which has worked. So now we can kind of click around, and it's at least informing the player that this is the object that we've clicked on. The next thing we'll do is program a means of visualizing the object that we clicked on from the heads-up display. So going to the heads-up, the HUD file, we wrote in this section precisely for this. So we have this kind of panel where when we click on an object, we should be able to see it within the select HUD. What I'm going to do is add another variable to the HUD. I'm going to call this self.examinedTile equals none. And we're going to control this from the world class. So every time that we select an object, we're going to update this variable inside the HUD. So going over to the world and going back to our update section, the world is already able to communicate with the HUD. So this is simply self.hud.examinedTile equals, and we want to pass it the actual tile. Now we know what the tile is, or we can easily access it because it's just this thing here, because we have the grid position, so we can just access it directly from the world. One last thing I'm going to do in the update section is if we right click, we're going to drop the selected tile. So if mouse action 2, then we can say self.examinedTile equals none. Now going over to the HUD, we're going to go down to the draw section, and we're going to create a new section of logic for drawing these kind of selected objects within the panel that was located in the kind of center and bottom of the screen. So basically this part. So we're going to say if self.examinedTile is not none, so that means the world class has passed the HUD something. We're going to render the panel, and now on top of the panel we want to draw a scaled version of the image and maybe some text, at least saying what the image is or what the object is, and we could even put in like some simple description, whatever we want basically. So because we'll be doing everything within this panel, I'm going to extract the dimensions of this panel so that we can make everything proportional. So I'm going to say self.selectRect.width and self.selectRect.height. Now we're going to grab grab the image that we've selected, and we're going to create a scaled version and fit it within this panel. So first I can extract the image. The name of the image is going to come from the examined tile that we're passing from the world, but the actual image itself has been already loaded into the HUD using load images. So we saved that as before as self.images, which is a dictionary. So we just need to pass it the name of the image. So in our case, it's just tile. Because we're scaling it, we're going to make a copy. Then we can create a new object called image scale. We're going to use the scale image function that we wrote in a previous part. I'm going to be scaling image, and we want to make sure that the height of the scaled image is roughly equal to the height of the panel, maybe a little bit lower. So I'm going to say height equals the height, so the height that we've extracted from the panel rectangle, and I'm just going to make this 10% smaller. And now we can draw this onto the screen. So screen.lit, that's going to be image scale, and we want to render it in the kind of like from the top left of the panel, but I might add on like a tiny bit of gap, just so it's not kind of touching the edges. Let's run the game again to see how this looks. So now we can see that because we haven't selected anything in the world, we don't get this selection panel here. So hopefully now that we've selected this, we get an image. Maybe a little bit too large. Maybe we could scale this down a bit, but I'm going to leave it like this for now, or we can select a tree. So this is all working well. Right-clicking deselects the image, but it doesn't deselect the panel, so that's a little adjustment we'll need to make now. So to make sure that we also deselect the panel, can return to the world. And in this mouse action here, we can also then force the examine tile in the HUD also to be none. So that will also deselect the panel if no object is selected. The final thing left for us to do is to include a bit of text regarding the object that we've selected. So going back to our HUD script, and underneath here we're going to use the function draw text that we've used previously, drawing to the screen. We're going to use just the name of the tile in this case, and we can grab that from self.examine tile, selecting the tile element. Gonna give this a size of, let's say, 40. Color is going to be white, like our other text, and for the position, we're going to put it into the center of the rectangle. So that's self.selectRect.center. So I'm going to run the game again. And just grabbing a tree, and we can just see a little bit of text. So this is all I'm going to be doing now because this text was ready available, but you could easily make a little kind of dictionary linking the object type and whatever description you wanted to show here. So this is completely up to you what you want to put in here, but this is just the means of doing it. And yeah, that about covers everything that I wanted to do in this part. So yeah, I think we'll leave it here.